Hello, mate.
Hello.
How's it going?
Yes, I'm sad.
You're sad.
I'm sad. I can feel myself welling up
Oh,
with emotion.
oh.
Because, my friend, this is the alpha video for Alpha 36.
Nothing ever lasts forever. Nothing ever lasts forever.
36, as you will remember from your Imperial Maths course,
Yes.
is divisible by 12.
Yes.
Which means that this is exactly 3 years
3 years of Alpha, mate. What an incredible 3 years.
of Alpha. What an incredible 3 years. What an incredible ride it has been. But the reason I am sad is because this is our last Alpha video.
Yeah. That is sad, isn't it?
There will be
That's
no
it, mate.
more
That's
Alpha
it.
videos.
There will be no more Alphas.
But fear not.
It's all going to come to an end.
Well, it isn't though, is it? Because we're just going to carry on.
Yeah, nothing's actually going to change, is it?
No.
We've just rebranded Alpha 37 as version 1.
No, you've told me that we have to call it Update 37.
Yeah. Well, I think version 1 is going to be... Well, obviously there'll be version 1, but it's effectively the 37th major update to the game.
Yes.
And then we'll do update 38 after
38.
that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Should we
And
call
we'll
it should we call it update 38, do you think? Or do you think we should reset the timer and call it update 1?
No. I know what we should do. We should call it Update 100. Just like skip a couple for no reason.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah,
But we're going to
makes
keep doing it then, aren't we? So you think we should still do a monthly update?
Yes, I think we should. I think we should carry on doing a monthly update because there are many people out there that enjoy Prison Architect, and I enjoy talking to you only once a month.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
It's enough. Once a month is enough, isn't it?
Is it?
That's how we keep it alive.
Exactly. Now, that is not quite true, what I just said, because there is one more Alpha video, but that's going to be a very special Alpha video because you're going to be on stage, mate.
I know, mate, and you're going to be on stage right next to me.
Well, yes, yeah, maybe. There's going to be a whole audience. There's going to be a sea of faces
Yeah.
staring up at you, wide-eyed and
Friendly
expectant.
faces, hopefully.
I think they will be friendly because generally, using my new social listening tool that
Yeah.
I've got, we get more smiley faces than frowny faces.
That's good.
So I think you're going to be okay.
So that's the end of September, isn't it? That's EGX in Birmingham.
Well, it's time. You see, it is. It's the 26th of September.
Yes.
Right? At EGX, Eurogamer Expo in Birmingham, which is in Birmingham, UK, because there's also Birmingham in Alabama.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to send them to the wrong place.
No, don't go to Birmingham, Alabama, because we won't be there.
Yeah.
But I have, because we are now a global brand, right? I have punched in that time and date into my global brand planner, and I can tell you that talk that we're doing, which will be live streamed onto the interwebs, right, will happen at 1800 Ankara time.
Ankara time.
Yeah.
What the hell is Ankara time?
Oh, it's time in Ankara, isn't it?
Where's that?
Ankara, that's Canada, I think.
Okay.
Or right?
That's-
What do you
that's-
want? You asked me, mate. You asked me. I tell you, it's
Okay. What time will it be?
It's 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
10 a.m. New York time.
Wow. What about the
should
Philippines?
probably
What
do
time will
West
it be in the
Coast.
Philippines?
What time will it be in the Philippines? What? I need a city. I've only got cities.
Manila, mate. What time will it be in Manila?
Yeah, Manila. All right, hang on. I'm looking through the list.
What time will it be for Ryan? No, wait. He'll be there as well, won't he?
Yeah, Ryan will be there.
Ryan's
So
going
you'll
to
get
be there
meet
with
Ryan.
us.
But if Ryan wasn't there, he would have to wait until 2200 in the evening.
Wow. What time is it UK time so I know what time to show up?
I've told you that, mate. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1400 p.m.
Brilliant. It's going to be awesome. So basically this is going to be a live update. So I think what you're saying is that we're not planning to actually release an alpha at the end of September.
That is what I'm saying,
Yeah,
yes.
because the full
Yes.
game is coming out in October.
That is correct. And we need to polish it and fix all the bugs and stuff. Because people will say to us, you guys have had 3 years to fix these bugs.
Yeah.
Right. And you will have to say, I'll tell them the truth, that basically bug fixing is dull and you can't be bothered. You're gonna have to come up with a good answer to that question.
That's totally... You've just totally chopped me in it now, haven't you?
I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
That's the honest truth. Well, we have 3 years of documentation of exactly what we did, didn't we? That's the thing.
Yes.
We've done several months now, bug bash months, where the entire team did nothing but bugs.
Yeah.
And I think we balanced it all right. And I think it's going to be all right, mate. I think it's going to be okay.
Right. Okay. So that is what's happening regarding the alpha videos.
Yes.
Or the alpha updates. So, but fear not, interwebs, we have new content for you.
We do have a new update for our last ever alpha video.
Yeah.
Don't we?
It's better be good.
Well, it's very interesting. So, let's load a new prison, shall we? Right. Now, I have to say, okay, so what we've done, I should explain to you the reasoning behind this update a little bit first, right? The reasoning behind this update is because, very much like gangs, this update is aimed at serious long-term players, people who've been playing for hundreds and hundreds of hours, people who've, well, that's a bit much, but people who've experienced at the game.
Right.
And they've kind of seen everything the game has to offer. And hopefully, in the last 2 months, we added gangs, and that should have fucked things up a little bit for them.
Yeah.
And added a bit of sparkle to the game for them, a little bit of challenge. This month, we've gone further. We've introduced a whole new system, and it's called the random event system.
Aha.
Right. Now, the random
Gary
event...
Chambers' idea, if I recall. We've been talking about this for many, many a month.
Gary Chambers, this is a Gary Chambers special. This entire system is crafted by Gary Chambers. It's analogous to the kind of SimCity random event system, whereby you could have random events, but not quite on the same scale as like meteor showers and alien spaceships landing and abducting everyone. It's not on that level. It's not like stupid. It's just certain things in the game that we've had a list in the game for a while of things that the game supports but never really happen. Right. So a classic example is fire. Right. Mm-hmm. The game supports fire and has a wonderful fire simulation, and we have fire engines to deal with fire, and we have sprinkler systems to allow you to plan in advance to make it so that your prison copes with fire better. Right, you've got that whole system, but fire never happens.
Right.
Because if you imagine, like, say we did, the whole game is system driven. So let's say we made it so that cookers catch fire one time out of every 100 hours or something like that. It would scale completely wrongly, because in a big prison like this, you would have fire all the time.
Right.
The more kitchens you had, the more fire you would have, and it would be ridiculous. So what you need is a random event system sitting above the simulation.
Right.
Every now and then saying, you know what, I think it's time there was a kitchen fire.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what it does.
Right. Right.
I should mention straight away that just like gangs, this is optional events. There it is in the create new prison thing. So if you don't like its randomness, you can turn it off. But it adds a lot of interesting stuff to happen.
That's a really meaningful entry in the menu there. Everyone's going to look at that immediately who hasn't watched this video and understand what events mean.
What did it say? Causes events to occur during the game to keep you on your toes. Adds extra challenge and an element of unpredictability.
Yes, now I'm glad you pointed that out, mate. It's, always read the tool tips.
Always read the tool tips, ladies and gentlemen. There you go.
Sorry, mate.
So, they occur semi-randomly.
Right.
And there's a little bit of directorship to it as well. You're familiar with, maybe you are, or maybe you aren't familiar with the concept of an event director. Like Left 4 Dead has one.
Yes, I remember that.
The idea is that you sort of analyze the game state a little bit, and if the player's got a prison that's running perfectly, and nothing bad has happened for 24 hours, all right, it's time for an event.
Right.
Whereas if we're in the middle of a massive riot, trying to put it down with armed police everywhere, maybe not time for an event.
Yeah.
All right. So it tries to keep you on your toes, So let's have a look at some events, shall we? I mentioned fire. I can bring up a little debug panel. Boom. Here we go. This is our test panel.
Okay.
Right. Now this is how we test events.
Yeah.
So the one I was talking about was kitchen fire.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a little call from the warden.
Right.
Right. And he says a fire has started in the kitchen.
Wow.
Ah, that was short and sweet, wasn't it?
Well, that's all you need to know, really.
Not a lot more to say about that, is
Yeah.
there? Better call in some fire engines. Now, that's one example of that. Now, the nice thing about an event system is that we can have all kinds of different events on all kinds of different scales.
Yes.
And they all have a different probability of happening.
Yeah.
So this is a relatively minor thing. Now, most players are lazy and don't bother building sprinkler systems
Right.
into their kitchens because there's never really been any chance of fire recently. And I would suggest that that players now should install sprinkler systems in their prisons as soon as possible.
I think that would be good. Obey the building codes.
Yeah, exactly. So a more extreme example would be a power station fire.
Yeah.
Now this can only happen if your power station is overloaded.
Okay.
Right? So you can prevent this. It's not completely random. Remember I was telling you about examining the world state.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It'll only happen if your power generator is kind of at 90%
Nice.
capacity already.
Right.
So as long as you stay ahead of capacity and keep your power grid nice and level,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to worry too much about it. And obviously this has a knock-on effect that you don't have any power in your prison anymore, right? Because you've knocked the power station out. So until you've knocked out that fire, you can't repair the power station. So you get a follow-on effect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So a more extreme example would be an extreme version of power station fire, right?
Right.
So if you click on that one, you get an incoming call, and this time power surge has caused a catastrophic overload in our generator, and the whole thing has exploded.
Blimey.
Right. Now in that case, so the whole power station's gone, and
Right.
things around have been damaged.
Yeah.
We were lucky there that nobody was killed, but if anybody happened to be nearby, like if there'd been anybody in the workshop at the time, they probably would have been killed by the explosion.
Right.
But again, it only happens if your power station is absolutely at max capacity, and even then, there's only quite a small chance.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's going to bring a lot of variation, I think, to players that have kind of maxed out their prison in a particular way and it's running smoothly.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Should we have a look at some other events?
Yeah. Let's.
Let's have a look at which one should we look at next?
Virus.
Virus. You have to
It's
pick
like
virus.
a virus.
All right, here we go. So we've got some new advisors phoning up now. This is interesting.
Doctor.
This is starting to hint at some of the things that might be in the full game.
Oh, okay.
We've been getting reports of sickness from a number of prisoners. It might be worth identifying and quarantining the affected to stop it from spreading. All right, so what does that mean? So it says down here we've got a virus outbreak and 5 prisoners are currently infected. In
Right,
fact,
okay.
there's one.
Oh, it looks like a zombie.
He just Who the hell would put zombies into a prison game, eh?
Gary
What kind-
Chambers would put zombies into a prison game.
Yeah. So they're infectious, right? And they're
Right.
sick. They can get sick, and
Right.
they'll puke a little bit, and they have a poor appetite, and they have various medical problems whilst they're sick. It doesn't mean everyone's going to die or anything crazy like that. It doesn't mean there's actually a zombie outbreak. It just means
Yeah.
they're all sick.
Yeah.
So it tends to flare up, right, and spread. So you can do things like you could do a bang up, for example, and tell all the prisoners to go back to their cells,
Yeah.
and that would significantly reduce the amount of outbreak that was happening.
Yeah, but obviously it would annoy everybody. It would increase the temperature of the prison.
It absolutely does, yeah, and you need to work that out.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing to consider, of course, is the doctor suggested quarantine, but that doesn't really exist in a prison,
Yeah.
right? So what you could typically do is send them to
Look at them
solitary.
all.
I mean, sending them to solitary is kind of your only option
Yeah.
in this particular case. You could send them to
Medbay.
one of the categories, like you could recategorize them as vulnerable prisoners. and then
Biohazard.
Yeah, well, if you recategorize them as the vulnerable prisoner category and then have them all sent to, so you could say like that.
Yeah.
You could say
okay.
that's the vulnerable prisoner, and then make use of that to transfer all sick prisoners there, so it stays contained.
Can you quarantine them in a medical bay?
They go to the medical bay. So what happens is that some of them will fall unconscious, like this guy, for example,
Yeah.
if they get too sick, and the guards will do their best to transfer them to the medical bay. Now, in the case of this prison, there's only some quite small infirmaries, right? So it's again, there's an element of forward planning here. Like if you have a huge infirmary and loads of doctors, you can get on top of this before it spreads.
Yeah.
Because they'll get the sick prisoners will be brought to the infirmary and cured, but they'll only be brought to the infirmary when there's a spare bed.
Right.
Right. So if you've only got a tiny infirmary because you're not used to dealing with this, then sick prisoners will just be left to wander around the prison forever. And there's an extreme version of it. So the extreme version, I should mention, there's always like a sort of, I think it's like a 1% chance there'll be an extreme version of the event.
Okay.
And it behaves differently. So the extreme version of the virus has a lethal endpoint, whereby a certain fraction of prisoners die from the virus at the end. So it's much more serious that you get on top of it.
Yeah, get on top of it quickly, stop those deaths.
Exactly, because you've got a genuine possibility of mass deaths, and obviously the inevitable, you will be sacked after all those mass deaths.
Right. It's interesting. The idea of an outbreak in a prison is just an interesting
yeah, it is, isn't it?
concept anyway, isn't it?
Well, and it will spread like wildfire in prisons.
Yeah, of course it will.
Close proximity and all.
That's right. They're all together. I mean, how does it spread? Does it spread with the prisoners just having physical contact with each other?
Close contact. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all location close contact based. So it's assumed to be airborne.
Right.
But you have to be close to spread to nearby people. So if you let your infected prisoners just go and hang out in the canteen, you can spread very quickly indeed.
Right.
Because obviously everyone's really close together.
Absolutely.
I have to keep resetting the prison after each one because some of these are so bad. So water pipe burst.
Right.
There you go. What you get? A water pipe has burst and is flooding the area. Fix it before the damage becomes too severe. So this one's like, not all of them have to be, disasters.
Yeah.
This is quite simple. You've got a water pipe burst. It's going to mess the area up. Right? The condition of the area will be really messy. But it's pretty easy to fix.
Does it stop the kitchen operating?
It doesn't stop the kitchen operating. No, it used to set fire to the electrical stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought that.
I took it out because it was just too extreme.
Right.
That a little bit of water would cause fire and things. No, but you make a valid point. Maybe it should stop this equipment from working because it's flooded.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting if the entire kitchen was flooded.
Yeah.
That's it. That would be the point at which the kitchen just stops working.
Yeah, and then you'd have the knock-on effects again, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It can happen anywhere in your piping,
Yeah.
basically. Can go, so you never quite know where it's going to happen. Oh, bit of a kerfuffle going on down there.
Knock down.
Stop it. Cease and desist.
Jason the Squirrel Aston.
One of our face in the games, I think.
I think he probably is.
All right. Should we look at some more?
Yeah,
Let's see. Workshop acts. Oh, no one's in the workshop at the moment. I can't do that one. So the workshop, the workshop's always been a safe place.
Yeah.
So every now and then there'll be an accident. It's as simple as that.
Chop my hand off, man.
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah.
It's because you haven't bought the grids, man. You haven't bought the, whatever you call it, the guards. I don't know.
Yeah, so they get a new status effect that's in the game now called bleeding.
Right, brilliant.
Which means so they have to be injured and the bleeding they actually get worse and worse. So it's a little bit of a minor medical emergency when it happens.
Yeah.
You've got to get them to the doctors quick or they bleed. They won't necessarily bleed to death, but they can get worse. All right, one of my favourite ones: mass assassination.
All right.
So. Mass assassination, right? So the identities of a number of witnesses in a federal prosecution case have been leaked, and some of them are inmates in our prison.
Right.
Hits have been taken out on them, but we need them alive. You need to identify the prisoners and keep them in one piece until their court date comes up.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So it tells you, right? Federal witness court date. So in 66 hours, there's going to be a major court case involving somebody that we don't know, and there are 10 witnesses to that federal court case in this prison, and they've been marked for death.
Right.
Some sort of mass hit has been called out on them.
Right.
And it will happen at some time in the next 66 hours.
Okay.
That's what we know. So what we need to do is we need to go to our intelligence screen. And you remember our informants.
That's right.
Confidential informants. I've got a cheat code turned on at the moment because I don't actually have any confidential informants.
Right.
But you would need to go to your confidential informants and call them into the office and say, what do you know? Right. Tell me what you know.
Yeah.
And they would reveal your federal witnesses. And so if you look close up on some of these guys, well, those guys are just snitches. But like these guys, federal witness, right?
Right.
So both these guys are federal witnesses. Now, I know that because my informants have told me.
Right.
So what I essentially have to do is get them transferred into protective custody as soon as I can.
Right.
And they'll be safe in protective custody.
Identify them and basically keep them safe.
Yeah. And if you don't, there'll be a proper... at some point, there'll be a mass assassination.
Who does the deed then? Just other prisoners?
Other lethal prisoners.
Right.
So you never know who it's going to be,
Yeah.
It won't be like some guy who's in for tax evasion.
Yeah.
It'll be other violent prisoners. And if you've got a prison that's full of non-violent prisoners, then maybe they'll be safe.
Yeah, okay.
But you'll be surprised. 65 hours is a long time,
Yes, yeah.
to look after 10 marked men.
It feels like a movie.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful with those guys, and it's a lot of people to be killed. It can really contribute to your game over event.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It would do you in, wouldn't it?
Whew. All right, well, we'll leave that federal witness court date thing running. I'm not actually going to take any further action, so we'll just let that play out.
Right.
Ah, there's more. All right.
There's quite a few, aren't there?
There's a few, yeah.
Yeah.
Those, yeah. All right. This is a nice one. I like this one. Mayor Calvin Heller.
The mayor.
An incident at another facility has highlighted potential issues with security checks when it comes to family visitation. Until the processes can be properly reviewed, all visitation must be suspended. You have 6 hours to remove all visitation rooms from your prison.
Right.
Nice. This is analogous to Dwarf Fortress administrator demands.
Right.
Every now and then they'll call you with a demand that has to be met. It says
Right.
down here, ensure no visitation rooms in the prison until the security review is complete. You don't have to demolish anything.
Right.
But you do have a choice, right? You don't have to comply.
Right.
Right? If you don't comply, you'll be fined. There'll be
Okay.
a state level fine applied to you. But you can go to the rooms view and actually, I don't actually know where the visitation room is. Here it is. You go to the rooms view and clear out the visitation room like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And that'll put an end to family visitation, right? And then you're in compliance at that point,
Right.
and you won't get fined. But
But-
there'll be the knock-on effect,
Yeah.
right? In the needs list, the family need will no longer be satisfied.
Yeah,
You'll
that's
have to-
right.
You'll have to cope with the knock-on effect of that.
For a period, and you don't know how long that period is.
I think it tells you once you pass the threshold of where it's been decided whether you've done it or not.
Right.
And then you have to keep it that way for a day or two until they complete their security review.
Right.
And there are other ones in the same family, like TV removal demand or weights removal. You know? It's another one. The media has started a campaign over the immunities
Right.
granted to prisoners, and it's bringing a lot of heat on my office. I'm passing a bill which bans exercise equipment in prison yards. So I need you to remove all weights benches from your yards, or you'll be fined. You have 12 hours. Yeah? Pretty good
Right.
stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing I like about it, it's just the sort of thing that politicians do.
Yeah. It is.
You know?
Yeah.
They had that whole thing in the UK, didn't they, where the Home Secretary decided that he wanted to remove televisions from
Yeah.
prison, right? Because inmates in a particular prison all have televisions. And he said, it's time we were tough on prisoners. These televisions need to be removed immediately. It's not right that these criminals should be allowed to watch Sky TV, throughout the day.
Yeah.
And all the sort of newspapers, all the sort of rag newspapers were kind of like, yeah, screw the prisoner. And there were these prison guards and staff, weren't there, who were just saying, well, hang on a second. Nobody actually asked us, because
Yeah.
televisions are like the ultimate compliance device.
That's right.
Right? Because we tell inmates that they're going to lose their television if they do anything wrong. And it's more effective than any other scheme
Yeah,
we've ever
yeah.
seen. So we see televisions as a form of coercion,
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah. That's right.
Right, a form of control that we have over our inmates.
A prison full of televisions is actually a very well controlled prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
With everybody
'cause you
conforming and complying and.
Yeah, because they just fucking love daytime TV, man, and they will
There's nothing else going on. You're in
Yeah.
prison,
Exactly.
You want to be watching, a little bit of opera or whatever.
Exactly.
I said that for the American audience. I've never
Oprah?
seen
You mean Oprah?
Do I? I don't know who she is.
Yeah. So there's that, and you get similar levels of. I suppose it's a decision, isn't it? I mean, I suppose there is an argument to be made that prisoners shouldn't have luxury because it comes from the idea that prisons should be a punishing experience.
That's right.
That it shouldn't be able to be possible to be comfortable throughout the day. That actually it should be horrible for the inmates.
That's right. That's right.
Interesting dilemma. So the mayor basically takes that choice away for you. Oh wow.
Wow. What's
Okay,
going
we've
on?
actually had a random event now. We've had a random fire in our event. A random fire in our event. We've had a random fire in our prison. All right, let's get some fire engines in there. And see, this is what happens when people build road gates.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
To try and
absolutely.
secure their prison. The firemen can't get there quickly
Yeah.
enough. Here we go.
Yeah. It's good, man. It's good. It's going to make quite a difference, I think, to the way people
Yeah, it plays
develop
differently.
their prison because these things, these kind of random events are what thwart a lot of what we want to do.
Yes.
In life in general, like you say, you put security gates up, but have you thought about how the fire truck's going to get in? And if the
Yeah.
fire trucks don't get in quickly enough, then the fire's
Absolutely.
going to spread.
Absolutely. And also, should your power generator go right in the middle of a populated area, or next to the warden's office? It went next to the warden's office or the foreman's office, But now power generators are a dangerous thing, right? They're something that you have to consider,
Yeah.
a placement. And the
that's right.
same thing with all the other things that were shown, like subsidence and stuff like that. It's one of the ones I haven't shown yet, actually. Subsidence. Check this one out. subsidence of the land has destroyed a section of our outer wall. Right? It's quite simple.
Yeah.
A little bit of fence just collapsed. Now, in this particular case, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's an inner fence.
Yeah.
So nothing bad has happened. But it's random
Yeah.
where
Right.
the fence is going to be. Now, in this particular case, there's probably no piece of fence that you could have removed that would have resulted in a mass escape.
Yeah.
But some people's prisons only
Yeah.
have one outer fence, or they
Yeah,
haven't
right.
thought about it. And when that little bit of outer fence collapses, and it happens to be yard time at the same time,
Yeah. That's it.
all those prisoners are going to make a run for
That's
it.
it. That's it.
So you need to think ahead, just like the sprinklers and stuff. You need to be thinking now that this wall could collapse at some future date.
Yeah.
So I'd better make sure. Oh, what's going on down here?
Fight. They're always fighting in there.
Oh, hang on.
Oh,
Right, we're getting multiple overlapping
multiple
problems
events.
now. You have failed to remove visitation rooms from your prison despite the current security issues. You have been fined and will continue to be fined until you comply.
Right.
Comply! So I must have missed one. There you go.
You missed 3.
I
You
missed that
loads. Yeah, there's
Did I?
another one above that.
Is there?
Yeah.
Right, I better get rid of that then, hadn't I?
Yeah. Go up, 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 up.
Ah,
up.
there you go.
There you go. There's the other one.
All right, yep. Doing it. There we go.
I think that was the only 3 that I noticed.
So we actually got fined there $20,000
What? That's ridiculous.
by the state for failing to comply on that one.
I love that because that's exactly what would happen, right? You're dealing with a fire. You've got a fence that's collapsed, right?
Yeah.
And then because of the mayor's stupid policy on visitations, you're now down 20 grand.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
you
bad
phone
day at
me
the
up,
office,
right?
isn't it?
You goddamn pen pushers at City Hall.
pen pushers
Phone
at
me
City-
up and tell me to remove all the fucking weight benches from the yard. And I've got a goddamn fire at my ass. The number of surviving witnesses is down to 9. I don't even know why. One of the witnesses got clipped and we didn't even notice. So this is what happens, right? This is exactly what happens. Is that him? Is that him there? There you go. Federal
him?
witness. Dead. Right? So one of the hits has been taken out. One of the hits has been executed. So it's going to happen, and you just... these problems can multiply up. If you don't cope with one, like if you say, I'm not doing that. No, I refuse to comply to your demands. More things can happen at the same time that multiply up and make it worse. All right. Weights removal, less food is fairly explanatory.
Yeah.
Room visitation. All right, let's get on some more interesting ones. Check this one out. All right. We've received complaints the prisoners aren't allowed to sleep enough and are getting very irritable about it.
What?
They've said if they aren't given at least 7 hours of sleep a night, they're going to start causing trouble.
What?
So basically what's happened is you've run such a wuss of a prison, right? Security is so lax that prisoners have decided, now don't forget that these can't just happen any old time, right? The event manager will only let things happen in the right circumstances.
Yeah.
So if you were running that god-awful prison that had 500 prisoners locked in a tiny little space, this would never happen, right? Because there would never be a possibility of that. But this is a reasonably open prison. So the prisoners have effectively made it known that they're very, very unhappy that they're only allowed 6 hours to sleep every night.
Yeah.
In the regime. And it's an easy thing to fix.
Yeah, okay.
Right? You can just go sleep, right? And there you go, 6 hours. Now, if you don't, they'll start smashing the place up in protest.
Right.
And that'll lead to further follow-on trouble. Now, the problem is that there's a little bit of brinksmanship as well. So
I was going to say, will they demand
if
8 hours?
If you
9
comply
hours?
straight away, if you just instantly acquiesce to their demands, then the next demand will come sooner. There's a concept of a minimum time between these random events.
Right.
So if you have like a fire in the power station, you won't have another one for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because it would seem stupid. So with the prison demands, if you just go, oh yeah, that seems reasonable. I think every good man should have 8 hours sleep. Just like that. Right. The prisoners are just like, great. And we'll phone back tomorrow with what we'd like to have changed next.
That's right.
And so what else have we got in there? Less work.
Right.
Less work time. More free time demand.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much what you would expect. The prisoners are effectively flexing their power because in a big prison that isn't properly locked down, prisoners can cause a lot of trouble for you.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with a mass assassination or something like that, you don't really have time to cope with even more prisoners causing even more trouble.
That's right.
So you might just acquiesce to their demands and say, okay, fair enough, fine then, have your extra sleep, have your less work time.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've looked at we looked at all of them, I think. Bulk intake. Yeah, I didn't look at this one. This one's nice. So here's our mayor again. A disaster at a nearby prisoners rendered a whole section of their facility unusable. We have no choice but to transfer the prisoners there to your prison, as there is no other suitable facilities nearby. They'll be arriving soon.
Oh, it's not what you want, is it?
This one is a lesson in having it be always been
Capacity.
over capacity.
Yeah.
So basically, you've got 1 hour's notice. So in 1 hour's time, there's more stuff going on. A bit more of those. Look at that, surviving witnesses down to 6.
Right.
Because I'm just not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
They're getting clipped. You get 1 hour's notice, and then it's like getting a whole new intake.
Right.
You know, it's a fixed number of prisoners. Let's just see if we can see them arrive. And so you get all the randomness that you would expect to get from prisoners arriving. Now I should mention, I think actually we've looked at all the rest of them, haven't we? TV removal. Yeah, we've looked at all of them. Gary Chambers is an evil man.
He is.
Very evil. And I asked him to come up with extreme versions of all these events. Here come
Right.
the new prisoners. So they arrive at a funny time as well, you know?
Right,
Some people, this is just on a side issue, some people have got an intake room and they have like 10 guards assigned to the intake room at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because that's when intake happens, you know? Well, not anymore. Because
Yeah.
now there's a random event occurring and now, you know, I don't know how many 30 prisoners are going to show up at 11 in the evening.
Right.
So you just need to scramble and respond.
Yeah.
you know?
Get your guards in there.
Yeah, so if you happen to get the extreme version of the intake, every one of the prisoners that arrives belongs to the same gang. So you get like 30,
nasty
you
bastard.
get like 30 gang members all showing up all at once. Right, so that alone is quite a serious problem to deal with. But
Yeah.
you know, you remember all the stuff that we looked at with gangs and how, you know, the balance of power finds its own equilibrium.
Absolutely.
You know? And then 30 gang members from another gang roll
Brilliant.
in. And does that upset anything? Does that change anything? Probably.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Probably a whole lot of territories are suddenly in
Expect there's
contention.
Going to be some issues that suddenly popped up now.
Exactly. There's going to be some power plays from those gang leaders going, right, this is our time to move. You know?
Oh, what does he
hang on.
want?
What does
He's
he want
such
this
a
time?
dick.
Oh, fuck. Oh, we failed to move our weights
Oh,
benches again, and we've been fined again. Right, he doesn't actually give up. I don't think he actually stops until you comply. So you just keep taking the fines. You know?
He's like a machine.
Yeah, but it is like that, though, isn't it?
It
This
is
the
like
thing.
that. You're
This is
absolutely
what
right.
politicians are like, you know?
Because they have to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they appear to be weak.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly.
Have
And there's
to
a
hang with
very
the drum.
interesting case as well. Is that there are some UK prisons that continuously get fines every
Right.
year for using razor wire around
Right.
the maximum security facility because razor wire is banned in UK prisons because it's a health and safety risk to escaping prisoners.
Found by the EU, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's right. It's an EU ban.
Yeah.
I think it's because it genuinely is a health and safety risk to escaping prisoners. I think that's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But they don't like the idea of prisoners lacerating themselves and then dying in their escape attempt. But I suppose also there's an argument that it's a potential option for suicide. You know, isn't it? 'Cause
Who
you-
knows?
Or murder even
ridiculous to me.
because because you can there's really sharp knives all the way along the top of every.
Nah, it just seems ridiculously protectionist.
Anyway, not wanting to debate that particular issue,
No.
some prisons choose to accept the fine. Right? They just choose to pay the fine.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, every month they pay the fine, and it doesn't go any further, you know. And so that's the sort of thing that I think drives politicians up the wall, you know, because they've mandated this law, and they've put a fine on it, and prisons are just, we'll just pay the fine.
Yeah.
It's your money. I mean, let's face it, it's the government's money.
Exactly.
The government is
exactly.
paying the government.
Yeah.
A fine from the government goes from one department to the other. And so it doesn't really make any difference, does it?
No, it just spills out a little bit into some wages for some people that do the administration.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, there you go. There's our random event system. Gary Chambers, thank you very much.
Brilliant,
That's an outstanding piece of work. Very exciting new feature.
Absolutely, I think it's going to add a lot of complexity and depth to the end game, and not a bad way to end the alpha. I think.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
The last ever alpha.
Right, everybody, that was the last ever alpha video, but there will be many update videos. So it is not too late to get involved with Prison Architect. You have not very long to say that you were part of the alpha. So head over to prison-architect.com or Steam and pick up, get involved, and we will see you live on stage 26th of September at 1700 Helsinki time.
Nice.